Don't you know that the music should be solemn?
Let's just start. We started. This is starting. Look at you.
You know what I love so much about you, and I wish the peeps could have heard this 3 seconds ago. Fuck it. Let's just start. Let's just start.
Because we talked for so long before.
So long.
What we were saying is, do you know the name of this episode we're doing?
Well, it's right here. I don't know how to say it. Firinne? Firinne?
I don't know.
Who cares?
Did you ever eat Firinne when you were a kid?
I think I kissed a Fiona, but Firinne, I'm not sure.
Firinne was like a thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but Firinne was like a pasta. And you put like
that's the Italian in you, son.
Like
I wouldn't know that.
Butter. Yeah, it was delicious. You had it, but you only usually had it when you were sick. I think it was like a breakfast cereal. I don't know. Somebody will tell me different. But Firinne, let's call it Firinne. We're gonna get to that in a little while. How are you?
Well, thanks for asking. It's been a crazy, crazy time, as I know you're going to talk about, being our. You ride the front of the horse, I ride the back of the horse, and sometimes we ride sideways. But
sometimes
you know what, buddy? Like, how lucky are we to be just talking to one another under all this drama and craziness? Like,
yeah.
I don't even know what to say or where to go with it, or what do you want to talk about?
What you and I were saying before this was really interesting. This is truly an extremely uncertain times in a lot of ways. I know that, and I think that the hard part is that you get these glimmers of hope, right? When the vaccine was coming, you know, you and I talked about people like, okay, here we go. Like we're on the turnaround. And then they're like, there's a second strain. And you're like, oh my God, what? And then, and you kind of take one step forward, 2 steps back, and you're like, what? And then they're like, oh, there is a vaccine, but it's not being rolled out properly. And you're like, what? What's happening? Right. And you hear one thing, you hear another. And then on top of it, you have something that I don't think anybody, if you're a history buff, like I know we are, or, whatever was unimaginable.
Unimaginable. Yeah.
Unimaginable. And we all know the deal. I think that my thing is this: when uncertainty overwhelms me, I'm in the epicenter of COVID right now, LA and Los Angeles, where, the numbers I hear every day are every 10 minutes, someone's getting it, 1 out of 6 people, all this stuff, which just puts a lot of fear in you. When I feel all that, I remind myself, and when there's uncertainty, I remind myself to be kinder, to be nicer, not just to other people, but to myself. Like, because uncertainty could overwhelm you and fear can overwhelm you. We all know this. So I realize that I'm not an anomaly, that if it's happening to me, it's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I have to be respectful of that. So in every way, whether it be online, whether it be in emails, whether it be in text messages, whether it be from 6 feet away, if you're talking to someone, I'm like overly kind. And I do that because I understand that everybody is feeling at least the way I'm feeling or worse, because of everything that's going on, especially here in the United States and all that. And we don't know how people react to things. And I know that for me, I was, I'm traveling for work and it's scary. And, there's so much crazy stuff going on. And then at the same time, the news is like, whoa, my goodness. Right. And again, what we just talked about, this historical, horrific thing that happened. I just realized that I am so fortunate that I get to talk to you. And I am so fortunate that we get to share a show that harkens people back to better times, and that they get to do this and listen to this and reminisce and have some fun and do whatever. So I don't want to stay on it too long, but I will just say, for me, and my closing of this whole thing is, if you're being kind, be even kinder. If you're being sweet, be even sweeter. Like if you're, just try
Yeah.
to be the light in other people's lives right now.
No, and that's a really good reminder. And I think all your beautiful family out there, and Sammy and Fam Crow and Peeps, and they know that about you. They know that about me. And I will just add to what you said, and that is that the dam seems to have been broken. There is a hole in the dam, and all this water keeps coming through this dam. And we as humans are on the other side of this dam going, wait a minute, we fixed that little part of that hole. We fixed that little part of that hole. And then it breaks through again. And I'm just going to say this, that boy, humans, we have to just believe that kindness will win, love will win, vaccine is coming, we need to wear a mask. All those things are going to make a difference under this incredible cloud that is so palpable, and we feel it as human beings. And that's why once a week, and we talk all during the week, obviously, but for you and I to share the reality of our lives under all this stress, and we know how lucky we are. I'm in a house. I'm not living on the street. I've worked hard in my career. It's been a pretty good run. I've got great friends like you, family, and we know how lucky we are, but we also never stop giving back, or never stop being kind, or never not pick up a phone to help out a desperate friend who might be feeling anxiety that they've never felt before, because we are all in this together.
And you and what I want to say to piggyback on that is, you don't have to be in a position where you have this giant audience to give back. And when people hear the word give back, they're like, I don't have any money. I'm like, no, this has nothing to do with money.
No, it doesn't.
Giving back is giving of yourself, of
correct,
listening to someone, of asking someone, how are you? How is it going? Are you okay? Do you want to talk about anything? How you feeling? And I think that what we're all moving so fast, and we're so fearful, that we're forgetting that other people are feeling all the exact same things, if not more than you are. So when we say give back, just give yourself. And I guarantee you, sometimes when I say kindness will always win, and I write this stuff of kindness that leads to so many great things. People like, they can't see through the woods. Like, they can't see that. They're like, oh, but look at this and look at that. And I'm like, you're right. You can do that all day, but I could also do the same thing with kindness. I can show you a million examples of people who are kind, who good things happen for. And I'm telling you, this isn't about good things happening for you. It's about good things happening for the world, and making this place a little better when you eventually leave here, because you will leave here. We all will leave here.
Yeah.
So, on a similar note, look at my hair. What's going on here?
Okay. First of all, I'm finding it very hard to even look at you. I looked at photos of myself when I was 32 years old, and they're very similar to what I'm looking at right now.
Black and white.
My mustache was better, but that hair is very, very young Kim Coates era, and good for you. You're rocking it.
This is streetcar. This is streetcar, Kim. Did you have short hair?
That's a little longer. Mine was a little shorter for streetcar. I didn't have any facial hair, but the skin and the sure. Stella, do you want to scream Stella?
Your mustache always meet in the middle? Mine doesn't do it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You got a nice one. Look at that.
Now I've figured out the character I'm about to play really soon here, and so I've cut my hair, and it's a small town lawyer with big city problems. That's where I'm going, son.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm hopefully
Look at him. He has a beard. Look at him.
It's all starting to come in a little bit. We'll see how it goes.
It's nice. Yeah, we're putting mine together this week. We're putting it together. I was telling you before, we have all the camera tests and all that, and we're putting it together, and I can't wait. I can't wait to put it together. But this is
it's epic. It's gonna be great for you, bro. The people you're working with are top notch, and it just sounds so exciting, and it's just such a epic drama. Like, my God. So
it's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh, you know what I wanted to tell you, and then we'll get to the episode, because I know people. It's so funny.
Let's go.
I sent you that one comment of people being like, "Why do you talk so long at the beginning?" And of course, if anybody wants to get a real kick out of, go to the YouTube comments and look what I write people. It's really funny. I send them to Kim when I write them. I kill people with kindness. But you always get this, you always get the one person who's like, why do you talk so long before you review the episode?
No, and and we get like 1,000, like, oh my
Amazing
God, I love
ones.
this show. And then we get a couple like that. And one guy
Yeah.
went the other day, I don't need, like, what are you guys even like talking about? Like,
Yeah,
why
what are you
don't you
talking
start
about?
talking about something? And I thought, is he talking to the right show? Like,
Yeah. He said, you guys don't make sense when you speak. And I said, maybe not. Who cares?
Maybe not, but who cares? Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares? So here's what I was thinking. So you're a car guy, right? Like you kind of you've always been into cars, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I started being into cars when I was a kid. Like my first car ever was a 68 Mustang that I pushed home. I bought it for $500, had a 289 engine, and I literally rebuilt it with my uncle. And it was my first car ever. And that was my car when I got my license. And then after redoing that, it was white. It was green when I got it, and I painted it white, and it had a black rag top. And again, I was becoming a car guy. 68 Mustang, 289 engine. This is back when you had to go to all the car flea markets to get parts. There was no online. There was none of that stuff, right? You had a catalog. You had to order stuff. Then I got rid of that, and I got a 64.5 Mustang, red, white leather interior, convertible. And I only had that for 6 months. Couldn't afford the parts, couldn't do this. And I got rid of that. And then my next car, and it was my final, and there's a point to this story. I know the person who'll complain. There is a point. Then I got a 74 Cutlass Supreme convertible. But I was living in New York at the time. And the car would get destroyed. Had the 450 engine or whatever it was. It got destroyed. Destroyed. Like literally me, Mona, and everybody were driving back from Albany with it one day. And I had a hole in the floorboards.
Things were falling off. Yeah.
And the rug touched something and went on fire inside the car.
A nightmare.
Car was a mess. Right? And after that, that was it. I went into regular cars. I started leasing, I leased the car, and that was it. And I never kind of became a car guy again. I got to tell you something. Through our guy, Emilio Rivera, shout out Emilio, I got linked to this guy, Justin, who owns AV Chevy in Antelope Valley. And I saw Emilio write something about this truck. And I was like, my goodness, that is like the craziest truck. And I haven't been intrigued by cars in 20 years. And I just have to give the guy a shout out because he reignited my love of cars. And I just got something from him. And the reason I say this is because it's the new trucks, the new like Tahoes and all that, and the Z71s, and like, and there's the new Corvettes that are out, the new, like, and I just started looking at these things and I got blown away, and I needed a truck. I haven't had a car, as crazy as this sounds, me personally, I haven't had a car in almost 6 months. The reason being is we're in lockdown. My wife has a car. I don't go anywhere. If I'm not filming, which, I have to fly somewhere to film or film wherever, I didn't need a car. So I just wanted to say this because I just got this new truck, and
You're pretty happy, aren't you? You're pretty happy.
I'm pretty happy, but it kind of reignited my car thing again, where like I'm looking up like resto mods and like cars and like this whole thing. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Justin because everybody, car dealers, everybody's been having this hard time, and Emilio for just kind of showing me this thing, because again, I haven't had a car in 6 months. I didn't think I'd ever get a car again.
It's funny that your first car was close to this. Like that is a 1968 Ford Fastback. And this is my
money.
This is my Pegasus project in Saskatchewan, where we're raising all this money to get a couple of new helicopters. And my boy Vaughn Wyatt and Lori Leach in Saskatchewan, they've built this thing with Ford's help, and it's going to be ready any minute.
So that's an original. That's an original Fastback.
It's going to have. Yeah, it's going to be like, I even know how many horsepower, probably 800, 700. It might not even be legal on the road. I don't know, but it's going to go for so much money at Barrett Jackson auction a year from now in Arizona, when the COVID's calmed down.
Yeah,
we can all get back to some normalcy a year from now for sure. This thing's going to go there. It's going to make so much money for this charity, for these helicopters, the Stars Ambulance in Saskatchewan. So funny that you should say 68, because that's what that is.
But what's funny about you, and this was so funny, I always tell the story about you, is when we were doing the show, you your regular car, you were like me, but I was even different then because I had the
Your truck.
Yukon. I had the Yukon,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But you didn't care. Like your regular car,
No.
your day to day that you were driving back and forth was
So
like
it's a Nissan Altima.
Like
And
you
it's
just
white.
were like,
It's white
yeah.
too. It's not even a color.
And then
it's white.
and you just didn't care, but you always had the old car at home, the one, the Nova, right? Or
No, it's a Chevelle. It's
the
a
Chevelle.
1966 Cabernet Red, Traeger mags, stereo that'll blow your mind. It's pretty special. Low rider. It's stunning. Malibu Chevelle.
So the thing is, and I was always like, man, why would he have that older car and then but have the Altima that he's driving around in? And now it's so weird that I just feel this whole, like, I feel like my 16-year-old self pushing that Mustang back. And I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my God,
baby.
like to have a
Good.
project, to maybe like do a project. So I just wanted to bring that up because I know you're a car guy and I feel like a kid again. So maybe when we
Good.
come out of this, you and we'll do a
Oh,
review of your car or something.
that's right. I'm coming to visit you. We're going to build a car. How about that?
Yeah, let's build a car. So here we are, Firinne. These episodes are pissing me off. I got to tell you something. Let me just say that we're going in a row now.
Oh, we're finishing it off. This is episode 10 of season 3.
Yeah.
Next week we're going to do 11.
Yeah.
And we're going to finish it off with 12. We're finishing it off.
Yeah.
We're on a nice run right now.
The previews make a lot more sense, by the way, when you watch the show in order.
Tommy Flanagan did his nice Scottish accent, nice intro. Kind of works with you boys being in Ireland.
I wasn't there, Kim. I'm not in the
Okay,
episode.
so it's funny because through my notes I go, Theo, were you on that bike ride? Or Theo, why weren't you at the table? Or then it finally dawned on me that Theo wasn't even in the show.
Yeah. Now, you
So
remember,
that was
I've said this a bunch of times back in the day.
They're saving money. They were
season
saving
4,
money. They were saving money.
In the beginning, before Juice was Juice, the first 3 episodes, I was kind of in and out, and I didn't have a 13 of 13 contract. So there were episodes where I just get, oh, you're not going to the table read. I was like, oh, I'm not in the episode. And
yeah,
at this point, I remember thinking, because this was kind of late, I knew from season 4 on, however long I lasted, I would be in every episode. But I remember at this point, this was right around the first time where I was like, I'm okay with not being in this episode. And the reason I mean that is there is so much going on in these shows, and I'm realizing it now.
Yeah, here we go. I mean, you're right.
Here we go.
I mean,
yeah, Jax wakes up. He wakes up and has a smoke before he has any water or takes a pee. Did you ever notice that?
No, I didn't. But what a great way to wake up. If you're young and you think you have nothing better to do, let's have a smoke. Yeah. I'm playing Jax Teller. I'm just gonna have a smoke. How about that? No one's gonna tell me I can't. So we did. Yeah, like I don't know, Theo. And then you get Ashby coming in with his Sean.
Yep.
Casey, his sidekick. No, love him, but I don't know why the father told him to get out of the room. Get out of the room while I talk to Jax, because they've talked about everything. And then when he came back in the room, I feel like I've seen this scene a few times now, and they're always so good, but I've seen it. I've seen this.
And I'm going to tell you a lot about this episode. We're going to get really hard into it, and I'm probably going to be hard on this episode, and that's okay. We're repeating a lot of things as we go. You just said it again. Like how many Kellen Jax scenes are we going to have?
Too many.
Where's the kid? Where's the kid?
It's too many, and I just didn't know why he shoved him out, because he comes right back in, and then he tells Jax he's your man. He's going to do the dirty work for you.
Right.
He's your guy. So there's no need for him to leave the room.
There was no secret.
There was no secret. Not one. Jimmy has his.
Then we go to Jimmy in the car, and basically his partner is basically telling him, he's convincing him how much he fucked up. Like basically he's saying, you fucked up, you're out of control, and this isn't going to be good for you. Like that guy is telling him. You could tell that there's some apprehension in his voice when he's talking to him, and Jimmy might have took it a little too far with the blowing up and not killing them again, and then he killed Sean Casey's partner. So that you're starting to see the unraveling. And again, I'm a big Jimmy fan. I'm a big Titus fan, so I like anything with him. Here's something that happened in this episode, and this is where I always think, maybe because I try to live a little more in reality. Like I've always felt like entertainment, especially when you're playing not real people, but playing people that exist, try to exist, like whatever we're doing, you have to take into consideration that sometimes I might not believe you. And what I mean by that is McGee and O'Neill are having this fight in the clubhouse, and they say everything. What if someone was in there? What if someone walked in? You know, they literally says, he says, "Did you the one who blew up the thing and detonated the thing?" And he throws, McGee throws O'Neill on the floor, right? And they're fighting, but we're there. We're close. We're in the alley. Like we're.
Yeah, no, McGee has the upper hand actually, Theo, in that whole thing. It's O'Neill as the sergeant at arms, and I got to say, I would have walked off the set if I read that Clay kicked the stool out from underneath me. He can punch me. He can put a gun on me.
He
But
really
you're not
kicked
kicking
that stool
you're
out.
not kicking any stool underneath my ass. It's just not going to happen. So for that, for you know, O'Neill to let that happen, I know, come on, we're all actors, we're all on the show, and such a bit, we love it. But I just never, I would have fought tooth and nail, punch me, come up behind me, hit me with a ball, but you can't kick a steel. That's just never would have happened.
Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when they met like their doppelgangers, like on the street, and they looked like weird versions of them?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the first episode where I thought it hit me, and maybe because I was thinking about everything but what I was watching. Maybe, you know how like there's Bizarro Superman, like, you know, that kind of thing. I was like, did they try to make O'Neill like Tig, like with the way he looked? And did they try to make McGee like Clay? And did they try to make Maureen like Gemma? Do you notice like there's a lot of things that they seemingly were mirroring us in a lot of the things? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like the Bizarro.
It's very weird. Sam Bell went a little kooky. It really did over there now.
I think in that casting, they were trying to make O'Neill like Tig, but Tig would, like you said, he would never let the chair get kicked out from him. He would never. So again, it's just silly. So
look, you know, it's simple. It's simple. It's simple, if I may, Theo. It's simple because McGee was starting to go, pop goes the weasel. You can see him starting to go crazy. It's too much now. The lies are coming out. You know, O'Neill's been completely screwed up. It's not going well for McGee, and it's all coming out now. So the scenes to me I don't know. They just look the same to me.
It's hold on. This thing just said my internet connection is unstable. So hold on. You can still see me, right? Okay. So
yeah.
Here we go. I'm still good. Let's who knows? Unstable. You cut out, but as long as everybody can still see this face and your face, that's all that matters. Okay.
That's all that matters.
So Tara and Back Tattoo, I call her now. Tara and Back Tattoo are I got to tell you, it's the most interesting part of these episodes. Every time they cut to Salazar and that whole thing, I'm like I'm glued, because it's riveting stuff compared to what's going down in Belfast. So, and it's honestly like this B or C storyline. So it's really interesting how it's kind of taken over. So we go there, and you know, they're getting harassed by this guy. I mean, I don't know how it ends up for Salazar. I was trying to think. I don't know. But he's making a lot of big mistakes here.
It's great. It's great. He's just digging. If he thought it was bad with his head sticking up in that dirt road when you boys were racing by with motorcycles, things are going to get real bad for this kid coming up.
So I'm curious to see what happens.
Bad.
Okay. Yeah. So then we see something interesting. McGee is coming in to see us, and he overhears that basically we know something is. Excuse me.
Yeah.
We know something's astray. And immediately he starts to kind of protect his own ass. You know what I mean? By giving up O'Neill. So he comes right in. Oh, and by the way, this was just about the point of the episode where after 10 episodes of season 3, I started to realize who's McGee and who's O'Neill. I couldn't. Don't ask me one other Irish person. Don't ask me one other Sam Bell member. But those two, I was getting them confused up until that moment.
All the time. I still don't. I still have to look them up once in a while. I'm not joking.
It's too much. So, okay. So he comes in and he's going to save his own ass. He basically, you know, tells them he was blindsided as well. And, O'Neill did this and he's gone and he's disappeared. Right. And he's thinking that's going to stop us from doing what we're doing. And again, everybody at this point, while they have ideas that McGee might be involved, they're really positive O'Neill is, definitely the one who did this.
Sure. Are you there? Oh, you're frozen again. Theo? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there I am.
Okay, good.
I thought it was pretty cool when we cut to Taryn. Taryn Manning's one of my favorites.
Taryn Manning is Cherry. I mean, first of all, she's absolutely real. She's absolutely amazing.
Great.
She's absolutely tough chick. Great little scene. She's been boinking O'Neill.
Yep.
The sergeant at arms that we've been talking about. And then do we get right into the tough guy act here with the two chicks? Yeah, Gemma and Maureen. That's when they start.
So that's when Maureen starts choking her and
grabs her by the neck.
Yeah.
She's a total tough guy.
Again, trying to be Gemma.
Trying to be Gemma in front of Gemma. It's it's the best. And the way she grabbed her on the neck and threw her up against the wall, I'm going, look at the two girls. And then she screams, "Don't ever lie to the club." See, so if we can just go back for 1 second, because when McGee was saying, "Oh, it's the truth we're after, is it?" And he says it to Clay, right to his face. And I remember going, yeah, that's what we've been trying to get to for the last 4 episodes.
Is there a bigger meaning to that?
No, I'm just saying that he's been lying. He's been lying. So for him, McGee, to say, "Oh, it's the truth we're after," let's get to you. You've been lying, McGee, and it's going to come back and haunt you.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to you in a second. And so it's just funny how Maureen, grabs Taryn, Cherry, throws her up against the wall and says, "Don't ever lie to the club," just like her guy just did to Clay and has been lying for the past, 3 episodes.
Yeah. And those are those little links. Right after that, it pretty much looks like Jimmy O wants to kill O'Neill. Like he's going to tie up the loose end, right? Where are you? What's going on?
Oh yeah. No, he's dead. He's dead. He's going to find him. He's dead for sure.
But it's so funny. Like you would think that criminals or people who kind of turn on people know that eventually once you establish yourself like that, like you're kind of dead in stories, in movies. You notice that, right? Like it's not like it's not like Jimmy O's going to be like, "Okay, great. You helped us out. You're with us." It's like, no, he doesn't trust him. And now he's going to do this because he would think he'll do the same thing to him.
Yeah.
Right?
Once you start playing the line of being with this group or that group, and if this group doesn't win and you're with that group, you better run. You better run for the forest. And that's what O'Neill's trying to do now. He's dead. He knows he's dead. He knows he's going to get caught either by the Sons or by McGee now or by Jimmy. And he's on the run. And yet it's a fictional story. So we must find him. And we do.
Juice knows all about that in the future when he goes and talks to the Mayans, which you and I remember that scene when you came in. We'll talk about that down the road.
Touch the top of your head. I'll never forget it. And can I just give a shout out right now to FX, because there is not another show in the history of TV that gives more front credits to actors than any show I've ever seen.
You're
in
right.
the front of our show, when it starts with us, all of us leads, and then there's 30 names. 30.
Names. Yeah.
A couple of singles, then a few more, then doubles, then triples.
You're halfway into the episode and there's still names on the bottom of the screen.
We're 20 minutes in, Theo, and they finally finished the goddamn credits. I just find that absolutely amazing.
It is, and it's after the song, and it's so weird that you have to get used to. And I remember, I'll give you a little acting thing. You probably never.
Do you think I need an acting tip? Is that what you're going to tell me?
It's not a tip.
Got to work on my acting? Is that what you're telling me?
Do you remember when we used to put together our tapes? Remember we'd put together our tapes of stuff you did?
You mean our reels? Like our acting reels?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, but remember, I don't know if you remember. Now
I watched yours. I watched yours a couple times.
I don't do them anymore, but now, someone does it for me.
We don't have to.
Back in the day, I had to do my own, right? Meaning I'd have to go sit with a guy and we'd do it.
So did I.
Okay. So you remember this. I was always mad because I did so many guest stars on so many TV shows that if I was in the beginning of the episode where the names were over my scene, it sucked because
you pissed you right off.
it gets so pissed
No,
because you're like, you don't want on your reel, you're
wanna
on
watch
screen and there's
Theo.
some guy's
Yeah,
name
yeah.
under it or some girl's name, an actress's name under it showing up because you're only in the beginning scene of that show. And I remember that had happened to me a few times, and I was like, "Oh, is there any way to remove it?" And they're like, "No, you'd have to
No,
flip the
no
frame,
way.
or now
No
I'm sure you
way.
can." But those were those little things that you were like, "I hope my big scene isn't while names are still playing on the bottom."
We hope
So
it's after the director's name has been down there because
yeah,
that's it. Let's
yeah,
move on.
or let it go to at least your name comes up or something when it's on there.
That's
So
funny.
okay, so then we go to Chucky and Piney. I love that, right? Chucky answering the phone and asking for the
Best.
patch member. It's just such a great dynamic. They really, I wish they would have played a little more into Chucky and Piney together. Like just seeing that relationship would have been
No,
fun.
it was salt and pepper, man. That's all we had time for. We had to move on.
Yeah,
And
and Kozik comes up with the plan. So tell me about it, because that's
I'm
kind of
gonna,
a cool crew you have.
I'm gonna tell you because it totally makes sense to me. I was uncertain when I first saw this scene when me and Piney and Kozik are in the chapel there, and we're going over this, and we all find out that the girl's been kidnapped. I gotta tell you, I found it really kind of weird that Piney and I weren't a little more amped up,
Yeah.
like a little more. What the fuck did you say?
Yep.
Who's got what?
Yep.
Like just a little more heartbeat, like a little more pulse. We obviously wanted to give it to Kenny and have Kenny's lines, the through guys, we can't go to Jax. We can't. So we listened. We decided to just sit back and let this guy that I'm never going to vote in the club, but let's give him his due. We'll give Cozy his due. But I found that just really, really weird that we weren't more pissed off, more
Yeah, and
upset.
also I got to tell you again, you never, hindsight's always 2020, but it was like, I understand Jax has a lot going on, but Tara's been kidnapped. like she's kidnapped by a guy who is basically shown no care. Like by the time you guys finish that conversation, she could be dead. And it just seemed like it was like, okay, what's the plan? We're going to do this. Well, I hope
I agree,
right.
man. I know, I agree.
It was, like,
it was
okay.
a very, very weirdly acted, directed, written scene. I got to tell you for sure.
Yeah. So again, but now we know, right? There's a plan. Kozik has a plan. And now when we get back to Ireland, this is funny. I noticed this. The music montage kicks in, and I realized that he had to do these music montages in the middle because we're going to go get O'Neill. Well, not me. I'm not there. I'm apparently hiding somewhere in an Irish pub.
Yeah.
We're going to go do
That's
this.
exactly what you're doing.
It's silly. So we're all of a sudden, and it also just shows you how unimportant your character was in the beginning. You're like, it doesn't even matter if he's not there. So
That's not true, but I do.
No, I know, but you know what I mean. So all of a sudden the music kicks in, and I realized that the reason they would kick in the music in the middle of an episode or even earlier than the middle is they had to use all those Ireland shots of the real guys on the bikes. So this is a way to show Ireland, right? Here we go on the bikes. We're simply, because if this was Charming, it would have been like, hey, we got to go find O'Neill, and then you'd be at the location. You might see us pull out. But in this one, it's not just us pulling out; it's a whole ride.
No. This was when the second unit went to Belfast months before this is even put together. There were known shots, master shots that Sutter knew he was going to need. Maybe he wasn't even sure what episode. Maybe he wasn't even, but he knew we got to be by the docks. We got to be outside. We're going to be pulled over by the Protestants, by the cops at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We know that we need those 14 bikes from an air. And this was one of those times where Sutter knew 6 months before we filmed it, that we were going to be on the docks looking for O'Neill, and Jimmy's going to be there, and we want to see the bikes pull up.
So let's use 5 minutes of driving footage in Ireland.
And a nice song. Goddamn straight.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is where I think my frustration in lies with the season is it just felt like there was so, and I'll get into it again later, where we're spending a lot of time on these characters that we don't really know. And then they make these big, huge things happen to them in their lives. And I'm like, why Why do I care? Right. Okay. So here we are on this big, and I love seeing the guys ride, and surely I love seeing the Irish countryside. But again, I also want, let's go. Like, let's go. You know, what are we doing here? So after we get there, McGee hangs back, says he's a little freaked out from the bomb.
Yeah, see, it's just bullshit. Sorry to interrupt. See, this moment here, I've got it down, and I'll say this about myself, like Tig or Juice or Jax, but this is a moment where, again, I know that we needed to get somewhere. I know we needed to get to the finale of this one episode, but there's no way Clay isn't looking at O'Neill going, or McGee, I mean, come on.
Okay. There you go.
McGee, come on. What are you hanging back for? Come on. Come on. We're going to find it.
Especially if you suspect him.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang back. I'm gonna hang. And then he looks around the corner. Are they out of like, did they walk away? And then they get on the phone. I'm sorry, didn't buy any of it.
So again, that's where now when I don't buy something, my problem as a viewer is, it's probably why I don't watch a lot of things, is that the second I don't buy it, now you got to get me back in. Now I got to come back in. Something has to happen where you bring me back in, because if I don't buy something, that could be the moment where I go to my phone or I just go, what's happening here? I don't like this. So again, him saying, oh, I'm a little shook up from these bombs that were happening a couple of days ago, but we're about to go get your sergeant at arms. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, I understand that there's a point and it's suspension of disbelief. So here we go. We're in there. We have this guy hung up, strung up, whatever you want to say. And Sean's doing it. Really, I remember, because that prosthetic of his belly hung in the makeup room forever after this, like the one that they tore open.
Yeah, it was hanging up in the props room for a long time.
Right next to the burning back.
Right next to the burning back. And this is kind of, akin to that in the first season. Like when we burnt those goddamn tattoos off, it was kind of a little similar how we strung them up. They like Clay goes this is some heavy medieval shit. You got that beautiful smirk from Happy, smirking away, just
Wonderful.
great. So and again, so we're back to the charming days of this guy's done us so bad. He's put in jeopardy Jax's kid. He's lied to us. He wanted to kill us in a bomb literally 2 minutes ago. So now you're going to pay for it. But we're going to give you a chance to talk. So talk. And of course,
and then the other thing I realized in this moment is that Jax has killed a lot of people on the show.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like he's double-digit bodies.
Yeah, we've gone from the first season. Well, we've gone from the first season where Tig goes, I don't even think he can pull a trigger, to Jax, put the gun away. Jax, put the knife away. Jax, put it away. Let's watch some cartoons just for a minute.
Please.
Let's just
stop killing
come on.
everybody.
We love you, kid. Just like, let's step back for a sec. And it gets worse.
But at the same time, and it plays into it later when Kellen tells him John never wanted, I'm trying to save somebody from being in his life. And we'll get to that beautiful scene.
Good for you. Great scene. Yeah.
Saves the episode.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we got this big torture scene. It really is like Braveheart torturous.
Yeah.
So I forgot everything because I wasn't in the episode, but I forgot anyway. We catch Jimmy on the roof. I was a little thrown by that. I was like, oh, wow, did we catch him? And again, because I don't know anything that's happening, I thought for a second we caught him and we kept him. I was like, how do we have him till episode 13? Because it's only episode 10.
I knew we didn't capture him, but I could never have guessed how he got away from us first getting him on the roof. I had no idea. Going down the roof, the explosion comes up, that whole thing. I forgot that Jimmy escaped. I forgot that they had to fight.
Yeah. And again, here we go into one of these full blown, I call them the A-team gunfights. It's in, Bobby's falling sideways shooting. Nobody gets hit. Nobody's getting, we're close range here and nobody's shooting anybody.
No one can shoot straight. And we never could unless we really had to.
Like, what are we talking about? If you're not at point blank range, they're 6 feet away. Did anybody die?
No, not too many. Not too many. We knew what we were doing. We wanted to bring people back next week, Theo. Come on.
So again, are we whole? Are we whole? We're whole. Nobody got hit. Okay. So it just drives me crazy. So we finally catch up to McGee. There is a great line in that scene. There's a great line where McGee says to Clay, "This life doesn't really provide for you. It's just about the money." And it really does make you for a second realize that what are these guys all doing this for, right? Like there really is not, there's no benefit. There's no pension plan here. There's no like 401k, like you're in trouble. And he realized that. And then we get into the whole Fredo Godfather thing. The kissing, the throwing off the roof,
my favorite part of that whole thing, and the boys did it so beautifully, but my favorite part was the green screen that they used to show Belfast in the background from on top of the warehouse, like the bell tower and the church and the streets in the background, and they even had a couple of birds flying in there. I thought, you know what?
In San Pedro.
Yeah, you're in San Pedro, down at the docks. Yeah. And I thought the green screen looked like amazing. It was very, very Godfather-esque in the kissing and stuff. And then when Clay goes, "Give me your cut," you just know it's and it's fine. He knows it's over, and he just takes it. He takes
He's first nine.
Oh yeah,
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Again, do we know enough about him for it to be a big deal? I don't know, but it's a big deal. In the canon of it all, it's a big deal. I mean, how many first nine members are left?
Piney, Clay, and McGee. I think that's it. Those were the three that were left, right?
Was Lenny?
Teller
was Lenny one of them? Sonny's character?
Wow. I don't remember.
Neither do I.
He's coming up.
Lenny the pimp.
Yeah, he's coming up. Lenny, he's coming up.
Is he first nine?
Yeah.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Me neither. Somebody will know.
Someone will
in the
know.
Comments. Yeah.
Goddamn straight
label it Lenny the pimp. Let me know if he's first nine, because I that would be the only other one who'd be alive after McGee is gone.
Can't think of anyone else. No, can't do it. Can't think of it.
So again, now we go into this meeting with I guess what do we call the IRA guys in this? They're called something.
The Army?
The Army, but they're also called the something, like these guys around the table. I don't know. They've been calling them something. Is this our first time meeting them?
I'm trying to think. You're talking about is the father there with everybody else? Yeah.
Yes.
The big. I got it down as the big boys scene with the father discussing getting help, getting Jimmy, and it doesn't go so well. Okay.
Correct.
So yeah, that's right. No, this is literally
the Irish Kings. I'm sorry, I just found it. Found it in my brain. Irish.
That's fine. The Irish Kings. I don't. The Kings, Queens, Jacks. They can call them whatever. They can call them the 10 of Hearts. They can call. They can call them whatever. Kings. They can call them whatever they want, but the boys' accents were dead on in that scene. Yes. No one was fucking throwing around guns and shit. It got a little tense, got a little heated. But again, I think Father Callan needed to bring the Kings with him to let Charlie know that it's still not quite the way you think this is going to go down to get your son. And it just doesn't go well. The meeting doesn't go well.
No, it doesn't. And again, I find myself in this weird position where I'm like, there's so much I want to know about the people I care about, the Tigs, the Pineys. I want to know more about Jax. Like, we're spending so much time with other people, and I could tell that, like, as an audience member, as a fan, I'm like, can we just go back to like our guys? Like, we just don't know enough about them. Even like the sub characters that are part of the family, the Chuckies, Piney, like, let's spend some time with Piney, who I love, the Unsers. And I felt like we would be with these characters that I just don't know them. And I'm supposed to care about them. Listen,
when Sutter, when it was time for him to do season 3, and if he was here, he'd be able to tell it better than me. when he went to Landgraf, when he went to FX, and we wanted to get, we need the folklore of the John Teller stuff. We need the past. We need the first nine. We need Sam Bell. It was a big debate. There was a debate. Not sure. It's like we're going to be put it on hold, on hold. But Sutter just needed it. And so these aren't really complaints. These are just like observations that you're making on an entire, certainly 4 shows right now. And are we repeating some things? I think we are, but there's still enough pop in that incredible show that, of course, we're not going to turn it off, but it's nice to be able to talk about it. And I
think we have to, I'm always going to, now this is good because I know what I was feeling when we were doing it, this season. And I think that if we don't address it, I think that it also, again, like I said earlier, there's a moment at the end that for me saves the entire episode. There's a moment that there's always moments, and I'm not saying that every episode is going to be a 10 out of 10. That would be foolish to say. Nothing's like that. Even the greatest film and television in the world is not perfect.
No.
It's very rare that you have in my mind, a Citizen Kane or Goodfellas or, whatever we're talking about that I feel are perfect things. Or as close to it as you're going to get. But in this, it's hard. You realize that doing a TV show because season 3 is so important for the rest of the show, the whole length of it, that it needed to be done. But at the same time, there's a lot of filler stuff in there that you're like, come on, let's pick up the pace. Let's go from an 8-minute mile to 7:30 here. It's 7 minute. Like, let's change it.
Okay. Sorry, are you done? I don't want to cut you off. So speaking of picking up the pace, let's go right back to McNally. Let's go right back to Tara and McNally, and she gets to talk about her back and her OD and how her boyfriend OD.
Crazy.
And she didn't. And they, I don't know about you, Theo, but it almost felt like those two being tied up.
Yeah.
Up in the attic, it just felt like a different show. Like we're in a different show.
It's 100 times more interesting than what's going
on. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say it's a different show. And we're not even back in Charming. No. This is Tara McNally being tied up, and they might get killed. They're doctors. Yeah. What is happening? Yeah. That's the craziness of where this show continued to go. All 7 seasons, you just get reminded of it's fucking nuts. But I'll tell you what, like you just said. Margaret, McNally, I love her.
I love her.
And Tara, they're becoming BFFs like you.
But who would have thought? Here she is talking about like 1989 and saying she, OD'd and that she was buying him drugs, and she leaves it on her back to remind it that that's behind her. She's got this giant ink piece on her back, and right there, in less than 4.5 minutes. We just gave a origin story of a character.
Sure.
And if we just did that a little more, like let everybody have a 4-minute origin story, because then if something happens to them, I now feel invested in that character.
Sure.
So in that moment, I'd already been building. It's such a great character arc she has. And now I'm fully invested in her. So I went from really disliking and hating her.
Yeah.
Now I'm in.
Oh, I'm in.
Great. Amazing. So I love that. And again, it just shows that there's so much more to some of these characters. So then we go Gemma and Clay scene. Gemma, it made me realize Gemma has definitely had the most one-on-one scenes in the 7-year period. Like she was rarely in group scenes. She was in them sometimes, but a lot of hers were just one-on-one, one actor. And you and I know that when it's one actor, there's a couple of things that happen. One, it's faster, meaning you film them faster. They're not, because you don't have all this coverage. And there's a lot more going on. She had a lot of one-on-one.
There's a lot of less jackals, in the scene.
A lot of less jackals.
You know what I mean? It's just two
less
people.
Less people on set.
Less people.
Less everything. No, so
I wrote down, we haven't had one of those in a while. We haven't had a Gemma Clay in a while. And Clay was so pissed at McGee, and who can blame him? And they again talked about the past, and we needed to have one of those Gemma Clay. I think Clay's finally over his jet lag. There's been a few things going on now, finally over there in Ireland, but they need to get home. They need to get the baby and come home. All right, now we have to move to the Alvarez scene.
Please tell me.
Okay.
I
So
didn't see any of that coming.
that day, again, Kenny, he's such a rhinoceros, isn't he? He's such a rhinoceros. And he, I gave it up to him in this episode. I let him run the,
You did.
You can go in the gate first. You can, okay. And there's a reason for that. This scene was really cool because if you can just try and imagine going into the backyard of a club president's home with his baby and mother and wife, his own wife, and you're coming in with guns drawn. Like that is something you just never do it. In the mob, that means you were coming there to shoot someone. You were going to that through the kitchen.
As they say, whack 'em. You're coming into whack 'em.
Whack 'em. That's it. There's no other reason for that. So Alvarez, Emilio, he came out of that house, and I remember his Tig going, and the way Emilio and I, as characters, it evolved over the years. But at this point right now, he's trusting me 0%. Tig, 0%. No matter what's coming out of my mouth, no matter what kind of gun, no gun, he had his eyes on me. He didn't know this other guy, Kenny. He certainly knows Piney. But there's not a lot of trust going on. Mm-hmm. But the guy with the white spiky hair, he will listen to him. He will at least entertain what he has to say. And the way Kenny got to say it was really, listen, man, we shouldn't be here. Put him down, put the gun. And Emilio was thinking, I think, Alvarez was going, who is this guy? Who even is this guy? But I'm going to listen. And we all put our guns down. And I'll tell you, that baby, it was so funny. This is why they say acting with, children and animals, dogs especially, it's so hard to do because they steal every scene. That baby was the most, and I was there all day, never cried one time, never cried. And this is the one time we wanted the baby to cry. When we had little Abels, and when we had them and we wanted them to be in a good mood, they were crying, of course. Yes. But in this one, we were ready to go, bring the baby in. Hopefully he's crying. So we had to hide
spikes.
So we had to hide that beautiful little baby, and then they put in the crying later. It was just so funny.
Yeah, and it reminded me in this episode again, because Kozik is pretty featured in this episode. Is Kenny has got something pretty amazing about him when he acts. Like he's got this thing that like. He's a rhinoceros, like you said. He's kind of leading, head first. But even just when he talks, there's certain people that have like a thing that no one else has of him. I believe you have that. I hope that I have that. But like he has something where you go, just his cadence and the way he looks and the way he moves and the way he speaks. And again, I'm such a huge fan of his from The Shield, that on this was like, I get it. And then at the same time, I don't just get the Koza character. I get why him and Tig don't like each other, because they are so different.
You could not, and I know that Kenny hopefully would say the same thing. You could not, and we climax coming up here. Why we never got along, he and I as characters. We loved working with each other so much, knowing that we were going to be so much together here in Charming, even though it was a couple of days an episode, maybe one day together. It was just him and me. And we threw in Piney for some spice.
Yeah.
And it was just great. It was just great because, much like you just said about Gemma, it really was just Tig and Kozik. We really were bouncing off each other. And I also noticed myself, I smirked a lot near the end of that scene. I was smirking like, wow, look at Kozik. He's hitting a home run right here. And Elrich, thank you, bro. I know you don't trust me, but I'm not saying anything, right? My gun's down. And hey, thank you.
Yeah, no,
cool.
and again,
it's really cool.
I just, and again, Kozik with such a short time on the show made such a lasting impact to the fans, and I think that's a testament to Kenny. Okay, so
oh boy,
Trinity and Jax meet up outside. I got to tell you, I'm starting to get uncomfortable.
Do you know the play "Fool for Love" by Sam Shepard? Do you know that play "Fool for Love"? I'm going to tell you. Okay, so Ed Harris did it on Broadway. and he played
Sam
Eddie.
Shepard, one of the greatest ever. Rest in peace.
Ever. Sorry to bring this up. I know it pisses you and the boys off, but Black Hawk Down, we played golf,
The best.
5 times. He would drink on the side.
Tell the story, because I want to be reminded. I'm such a giant Sam Shepard fan. He passed, right? How many?
Yeah, he's gone now.
How many years back?
A
Couple of years, right?
2 years, probably. Yeah.
Okay. One of the greatest playwrights, even better actor.
Writers, everything. It was amazing.
Just everything. Just an artist, all around artist. The Dad in the Notebook, for anybody who's trying to find a modern thing for him, but also a million other things. Tell me, he couldn't fly, right? Didn't he not like to fly?
Yeah, in Black Hawk Down, we had a real problem at the beginning of that movie where the Defense Department were not releasing the Blackhawks. They were not giving us the Blackhawks. It's called Black Hawk Down. It's not called Huey Down. It's not called any other kind of helicopter. Chinook Down. It's called Black Hawk Down. So Sam Shepard was going to take a boat. He doesn't fly. Sam never flew. He hated to fly.
So you won't get on planes.
No, it's driving. That's why he hardly ever left America. But he was willing to get on a ship. They were going to put him on a ship. It's going to take 10 days. He was going to have a great time. He was going to drink a lot of Jack Daniels and write a fucking play, I'm sure. Anyway, as luck would have it for us, but not for him, they released the helicopters a little early. And they said, you only have them for 10 days. So Sam was either going to get replaced or he's got to get on a flight. Well, Shepard got on a flight because he wanted to be in this movie so bad. And I guess there was a little bit of alcohol consumed. There was a few tranquilizers taken. Sam told me he doesn't remember even getting on the plane, but he did land. He had every actor on that movie, every lead actor on that movie. This first day that he showed up, he had to do this 3-page dialogue at the beginning of the movie.
That scene.
And he couldn't get it right. And we were all just feeling for him. Just the greatest guy, and he's a cowboy too, like he's a cowboy. He was a cowboy, man, but a brilliant artist. And
so he did this play Fools for Love.
Fool for Love, and Ed Harris started, and then Bruce Willis did it. He took over Ed Harris, and then Bruce Willis cast him Moonlighting, and that's his whole career. Well, I did it in Canada. I did it 3 times, and it's about a man and a woman, Eddie and May, and the two of them end up hooking up before they realized that she was his half sister.
Ooh.
And so the whole play just gets darker and darker and darker of this love affair that they have and then they find out that they're half sister, half brother, and it just didn't end well.
Yeah. So again, here we are as the audience. We're seeing this happening, and we're like, okay, she's saying her dad was killed in Lebanon. He was a soldier. They kiss, and it starts to get weird. Right. And as the audience member, you're going, okay, what's going on here? Right. And then, but now we cut away and we're left to think about it. But now we go to Gemma with, Cherry and Maureen, and in the kitchen scene, everyone is pretty aggro. Everyone's ready to go.
I need a whiskey, Maureen says. I need a new life, Cherry says. Yeah, I mean,
they're ready to go. Now, all of a sudden, that's leading towards the next moment, which is our brains are still on what we just saw outside. Gemma's going to run to get smokes. Maureen's going to follow her. And I mean, here's one of the greatest lines. Unless we want a 3-headed grandson, we better share some home history, family history.
Zinger. It was a Sutter zinger.
Thank God they walked in. Thank God they heard something get knocked over. And
I mean, and this is part of the Kurt Sutter, the narrative of the SOA Irish narrative and the whole John Teller and having Trinity. This was all.
You got the fans on the edge of the seat there.
Yeah. What was the line that Jack said there, Theo? 2 minutes.
The best line. 2 minutes later, I'd be entering TIG territory. It's one of the best lines again.
I'd be dancing in TIG territory. I mean, come on. I used to love that when we would throw a little juice analogy or a little TIG analogy, and you're not even in the scene.
But there's a lot of TIG analogy over the 7 years, because basically it was always that if it was going to be the most fucked up, craziest, weird thing,
TIG. TIGG.
That was his thing. Whatever was going to happen, TIG was going to do it.
Yeah.
And again, here we are referencing that. And Jax was pretty cool about it, right? Obviously, we have this great scene between Trinity and Maureen that she was a lot less cool about it. Here's the thing. We have this great scene between them. And it's a great scene. But again, we don't know enough about them to have this scene have the impact that I think they wanted it to have. Because you got tears, you got crying, and you got an audience member, me being that member, going, okay, it's terrible. She's finding out about JT and terrible, but okay, let's go. Right. And I think that you're laying a lot on in the episode. We already, it feels like 6 weeks ago we lost O'Neill, but it's the same episode, right?
15 minutes ago. Yeah.
Right.
So much
going on. So we get back to Salazar. Great. Now here we go. I'm ready. The second Salazar and then pop on screen. I'm back in. Right. And great when Tara says, like, I'm pregnant, don't kick me, whatever. He's pretty evil in that scene, man. Again, I'm pretty excited to see what happens to him because she's in trouble, right? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't even know if McNally survives. I don't know anything.
When I'm not going to tell you anything, but when a human being does what Salazar is now doing with two women in an attic because you are so over it or high on drugs or you need money to the point where you're doing that kind of shit. Thank God this is just a fictional TV show, because Salazar, it's not going to end good for you. And we all know that this show survives with both those girls, but in the moment,
I didn't know that.
I
wasn't sure if McNally made it, but go ahead.
Just in case you forget.
Spoiler alert.
But spoiler alert, Tara does survive.
I know that because I was there for her demise.
McNally does survive.
Okay.
And we're going to find out how. But I think she survives. Jesus Christ, maybe I shouldn't even say that. The kids will slap me on the internet if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. They don't play.
Look, Theo, that was always a good problem to have for Kurt and all his writers. And that is this story of SOA had a lot of tentacles, a lot of ways it could go because it's so fucking fascinating to watch. And it was cast so perfectly. And the music was so awesome. Oh. And here we are talking about we're nickel and diming how, honestly, how we feel about this show. But that I always would go to Sutter and go, the fuck? I want more with Clay. Why do we? And he just would go, we're moving on, baby. We're moving on.
This is the one thing I always say about the show. The worst parts of our show are still better than 99% of the shows that we're ever on. Like I'm not saying
how
that
lucky were we
on it. I'm not saying it because we were on it. Like if I nitpick a scene here, I'll still take that scene over, because most of the stuff I put on, I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this show? Like and these are ones that people say are like the greatest things ever. And I'm like, this show is trash. But again, I get it. So here we go to,
let's get to the final scene.
This is it. Final scene. Kellen's waiting. They've cleared out the whole place. Jax is going to come in and talk to him. Sean checks him for guns. Jax is coming in, and here we go. We're going to get the address. We're going to find out where Abel is. We're going to find out what's going on with the kid. And I got to tell you, I was glued to my screen. And then when Kellen threw him over the table, because obviously we know Jimmy Cosmo is a fucking beast, throws him over the table.
He actually gave birth to Kenny Johnson. He actually birthed Kenny. That's how tough.
Great father.
No, seriously. No, really, seriously.
Add Piney in as the stepdad, and you got a force of trio.
But you see, this is why this scene for me was so, as you just said, so real. It was so real because Charlie's on his ass. He's thrown to the ground. A leg comes up. It's not always about shooting or.
Yeah.
How about a little fight? How about a little fist fight? How about a little like man-to-man combat? And Sean goes down hard, man. And it was a great scene.
Yeah, and they get in their scrap, and then he turns the tides, and obviously Kellen doesn't want to see Sean just lost his brother. He doesn't want to see him die, and obviously Jax is in a fragile state because of his son and all that. But man, when Kellen hits him with those words of like, I'm basically trying not to make your son become you and your
Yeah.
own dad.
Yeah. Who I lost. Who
I lost.
That's right.
I can save him. You see, and man, big fucking shout out to Charlie Hunnam on this one. He, with no words, played everything on his face. Yeah. Everything is there of like, he questioned all of it, where maybe a lesser actor could have, you know, maybe just played the rage and played the whatever. He literally put it on his face of like,
he did. I was proud of my boy. I was proud of him there. I really was.
Is better off without me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or certainly not having my life.
That's right.
Certainly not having my life.
And then questioning his own shit. Maybe I should get out of it.
Maybe I should move to Saskatoon. Yeah. Maybe I should join the baseball team so Abel can play hockey. Yes. Let's see how that works out. You never know. We don't know what's going to happen.
Let's see. Well, we're doing them in a row. We're going to do episode 11 next. So we're on this tear. We have 11 and 12, and then we're done with season 3. It's a wrap. It'll be our first season we ever finished in 2 weeks.
Actually really excited. I'm really excited.
We're going to put it to bed.
I'm enjoying putting these to bed. I'm enjoying this season. I'm glad we're going in a row these last 4 because it's easier on my old brain right now. And I'm trying to,
too.
It's easier on you. And you're in a hotel room. There's a lot going on.
A lot going on.
All right, brother. Listen to me. Look at me. You stay safe. Stay safe.
Yes.
And I know how kind you are and how brilliant you are, but you fucking stay safe or I'll kill you.
Yeah.
A minute.
I am. I'm wearing, this is the first time ever I went for a walk and I'm wearing 2 masks.
Yeah.
I'm at this point. I'm wearing 2 masks. So
wear a third. Cover your hair up. Make sure your hair is
okay. Wear a hairnet. Yeah, I'm on it. I'm literally on it. So listen, I love you.
I'll talk to you tomorrow on the phone. I love you, buddy.
Yes, I love you too.
Thanks for doing this.
Yes,
love
of
you,
course.
buddy.
Bye.
See ya.